Welcome to this custom deep dive. Today, we're bypassing the usual market noise for you to look at a pretty massive move from the U.S. House Committee on Ways and Means.
Yeah, they just introduced this package of, I think, 6 digital asset tax bills.
Right. And our mission today is to figure out how these modular bills could, fundamentally change your everyday digital asset usage. So let's unpack this.
It really comes down to dismantling these, invisible barriers.
Right.
I mean, for years, the underlying technology has been totally ready, but the regulatory friction has just made actual daily usage an absolute nightmare.
A total nightmare. Let's start with just the friction of spending. Imagine stepping up to a coffee shop counter, and instead of just tapping your card, you have to, pause and pull out a spreadsheet.
Yeah, sounds awful.
Right, you have to calculate the exact capital gains tax on, say, the leftover euros you brought back from a trip to Paris last year just to pay for a latte.
The line behind you would riot. I mean, nobody's jumping through those hoops for a caffeine fix.
But that is the current reality. If you try to buy a coffee with a digital asset right now, the IRS basically treats that transaction like you just bartered away a piece of real estate.
Yeah, you have to track the price you bought the asset at versus its exact value the very second you handed it over for the coffee. It's ridiculous.
Which is why the de minimis exemption in this new legislative package is so critical.
Exactly. It completely removes the capital gains tracking requirement for small consumer transactions. And what's fascinating here is how this simple, modular bill shifts the asset from being a purely financial instrument.
Like something you just hoard and watch the price of.
Exactly, to an actual viable medium of daily exchange.
It takes the math out of the morning commute. But here's the thing. For you to even make that seamless coffee transaction, there has to be a decentralized network of people processing and validating it in the background.
Right, validators. And those people need to be incentivized. When you validate a network, you do the computational work to secure those transactions, and the network automatically pays you in newly minted tokens.
Right, a block reward.
Exactly.
Which brings us to H.R. 9175, the Tax Clarity for Mining and Staking Act. This bill stops the IRS from taxing those block rewards the moment they hit a validator's wallet. But I have to push back a bit here.
Okay, sure.
Is eliminating that immediate tax just like a massive loophole for crypto miners? Or does taxing those rewards immediately actually break the system somehow?
Oh, it completely breaks the system on a mechanical level. I mean, think about cash flow.
Okay.
If you're taxed on token rewards immediately upon receipt, you suddenly owe the government fiat money, like US dollars, for an asset you haven't actually sold yet.
Oh, wow. I see. You'd be forced into this perpetual cycle of selling off the very tokens you just earned just to cover the tax bill generated by receiving them.
Precisely. And sure, a massive Wall Street institution can handle that kind of continuous liquidity drain.
Right, they have the cash.
Yeah, but an everyday user trying to run a validator node in their garage, they just cannot do it. So H.R. 9175 defers that taxation strictly until the assets are actually sold.
Which makes it financially viable for regular people to help secure the network rather than, centralizing all the power in the hands of giant server farms.
Exactly.
So we are fixing the spending and we are fixing the network security. But we still have the ghosts of taxes pass. Over the last decade, the rules were so murky that thousands of everyday users inevitably messed up their reporting.
And that creates a huge psychological roadblock. I mean, people will not adopt a new financial utility if they feel like participating means opening themselves up to an audit for, a mistake they made 3 years ago.
Right, which brings us to H.R. 9174, the Digital Assets Voluntary Disclosure Program Act.
Yeah. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you are hitting on the exact mechanism at play here. This bill establishes a compliance pathway.
It feels a lot like those historical tax amnesties that governments use to bring shadow economies into the light. Because you can't build a legitimate mainstream economy if everyone is terrified to participate because of old, accidental infractions.
Spot on. It allows everyday investors to voluntarily disclose and correct historical tax errors without facing those maximum ruinous penalties. It basically wipes the slate clean.
It essentially resets the board so the game can actually be played by the general public.
Yeah.
Looking at these modular bills together, it represents a massive shift. We're moving from viewing digital assets as just speculative novelties to treating them as everyday utilities.
Yeah. By dismantling that invisible friction, whether it's at the coffee counter, the validator node, or the audit desk, they are building the actual runway for mainstream adoption.
Which leaves us with a really interesting dilemma for you to think about. If these tax frictions are entirely removed for small transactions and the spreadsheet anxiety completely disappears,
Yeah.
will your everyday commerce naturally migrate to digital assets? Or is the behavioral habit of mindlessly swiping a fiat credit card just too deeply ingrained for us to ever break? Think about that next time you buy a latte.